So I have a bag again. This is not from eBay. This should be something from Card Market. I bought some more Magic the Gathering stuff from Card Market from another seller. Let's see what's in this one. So inside it is an envelope of sorts. Nicely done. And inside that is some sleeved cards. So let's start with this one. So of course I have Temple of Mastery. This is a foil from the Warhammer decks, which is the Tyrannid Genestealer Cults thing, which looks pretty cool. We've got Chancellor of the Annex, because it was a New Phyrexia card, and I want more New Phyrexia stuff. These were relatively cheap. And honestly, this is actually a pretty funny card. I might actually wind up running this, but it's probably going to be used in the D&D homebrew pile. And we have Nethroi, Apex of Death. He is a Kato. Because I want to do some more homebrew stuff, and again, these were cheap, so... Same with Demon Lord Belzenlot for some reason. Cheap economic mythics. And I want to do some more legendary creatures for homebrewing things. So there's Mr. Belzenlot. I have a Spike Shot Elder from, I think that's Scars of Mirrodin. It's the weird goblin boy. I have Doran at the Siege Tower. I think he's from Lorwyn, and I haven't done anything Lorwyn. I think there was a Plane Chase or Planescape Lorwyn. Temple of Malice. This is the Doctor Who set one, because I might want to build Daleks. I've wanted to build the Dalek deck really for a while, but I think none of the structure decks were really specifically Dalek typal. It was more just sort of villainous choice, I think. But I want to build Daleks, like actually properly. That's the Temple. That's Temple of Enlightenment. It's for the Doctor's deck for a friend of mine. Temple of Deceit. It's technically not a I don't think this is a Dalek-related card, but it is a land that kind of fits the colors of the Dalek deck. And then Smoldering Marsh, again, this is another card that will go in the Daleks deck, just because it's a decent land that fits the decks, what the deck wants to do, color-wise. Prairie Stream is similar for the Doctor's deck for my friend. I'm possibly trying to get them into Commander. Gallifrey Council Chambers for the Doctor's deck. Rotating Fireplace is actually... This is actually for neither of those. This is actually going to be put into my Nicol Bolas Super Friends deck, because all I need... I don't even need to time travel. All I need to do is just proliferate. This is basically, in this deck, a slightly worse Everflowing Chalice, basically, in that deck. This is a slightly worse Everflowing Chalice, effectively. And then the Master Multiplied, because I might want to make a Master deck because of that one the episode that this particular Master appears in. I want to make Oops, All the Master, Everybody Is Me, the deck, which will probably not feature that many Doctor Who cards. Will just feature a lot of copying, and then copying those copies somehow in ways where those copies don't get sacrificed. Oh, triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile a creature you control, which I think includes many of those red copying effects, which say make a copy of something. So, yeah, he kind of solves his own problem. I'm just going to make loads of copies of himself, which is cool because he has Myriad, so he kind of does. But I'll likely be copying not him, I'll be copying creatures that make copies of creatures to make more copies of him. And then we have Gallifrey Stands. This is Doctor-related stuff. The Dalek Emperor, which is one of the legendary Daleks, giving them the speed. I got a couple copies of that because I wanted to give one to a friend of mine because he really likes Doctor Who stuff, and maybe he might also want to build this deck. The Cult of Skaro is one of the two possible commanders because it's in the right colors. And I have a couple copies of that because, again, my friend likes Doctor Who, so these are really cheap, so I picked up a couple. I will get my friend into Magic, into Commander with Doctor Who stuff. Alistair the Brigadier, which is one of the classic Doctor characters. Amy Pond. Doomsday Confluence. This was, again, another cheap card, but this makes Daleks, which means he'll go in the Dalek deck. purely for that reason near enough, because there's not that many cards that are actually within the Doctor Who stuff that make specifically Daleks. There are, of course, the laboratories from early Magic, which can make anything, and changelings from Birthing Bowers and the other one, but those aren't really specifically Dalek cards, but you put them in anyway, because there's not that many cards that make Daleks. And then we have Joe Grant. Woman? Davros is the other option for the commander, since he does in fact do the thing and is in the right colors. And he would probably be more thematic, but I do prefer the Cult of Skaro in a way. But there's 2 copies of him. I guess somebody picked up a couple of the copies of the deck, I suppose. And then Sulphur Falls foil extended border. This was relatively cheap, and this was in. Actually, this might be one of the more expensive cards of the lot. I tell a lie, but this is going in Zinnia because this is the best current version of Sulphur Falls you can get is extended border. They don't have a full art version of this yet at the time of recording. So it's going to go in Zinnia. And then we have Japanese Hatsune Miku. I forget what the name of this card is, but this is a card I think when it attacks, you can flicker a bunch of things, meaning this will go directly into Yorion, and it being a Hatsune Miku version of something, she wasn't actually that expensive. I think she was like a couple quid, if that, which for a secret layer card is pretty decent, and it's just really funny. It's a really funny inclusion just in general, and it does fit what my deck wants to do in Yorion, so Miku! Kemba's Banner's also going to go in Yorion, because it makes things, and because it makes things in of itself, the second ability really does matter in Yorion, because while Yorion isn't a tokens deck, obviously there's a lot of ETB make a token things, and in that deck you do want to make a bunch of tokens, because you're going to be flickering away your main board most of the time, which means you need a secondary defensive tokens to protect yourself. So that second ability can get pretty busted. Particularly if you equip it to Yorion, who can fly and then smack face with him. Siege Gang Commander is going to go into Yorion. I think he's the only full art version of Siege Gang Commander that exists. I'm not a massive fan of this particular artwork. I would have preferred something cutesier, but I mean goblins. But it is a full art, which means it is going to be my upgrade for Zinnia. Glint Raker is another card I'm going to do a homebrew on. This was only ever printed in the Brothers War Commander decks, which I assume means this is something from Dominaria thematically. Again, it was cheap, and it's only in that set, so while I was there, I picked it up, because for ease. Then we have Screamer Killer. This is another gift for a friend of mine who likes Tyranids. He also has a commander deck that I built for him for Christmas, but that was a Lord of the Rings one. But I'm going to try and build him a basic Tyranids deck as well now. Hellbrute will also go to him because, again, it was a really, really cheap Warhammer card. Traxos will be made a homebrew out of because, for some reason, despite him being really cheap, I don't actually have a copy of him. I think the reason he's become so cheap is because he's printed a lot of different commander decks that use colorless. And he is nowadays, I think, outclassed by several Khans and several other better legendary colorless creatures now. Ogrehead Helm will be made a homebrew of, but I just really like the art for this particular alternate art print. Look at this guy. That looks really cool. Mecha Ogre. Then we have Patchwork Crawler. I actually just picked this up for a zombies deck. I was looking through stuff and found this was really cheap, but actually apparently really freaking powerful. Hilariously, you can because that particular deck that I'm building cares about exiling cards. So it embalms stuff. It runs both of the cards that currently care about being able to be cast from exile, and it will probably run other cards that say, hey, when this is exiled, do X. So, and also having that bit at the bottom might be occasionally useful to have a bunch of abilities on. Anyway. And then we've got Storm of Souls. This is, again, an upgrade for Zinnia. Again, Expended Border is the only version of this card that currently exists. It does not have a full art, mostly because it's a relatively new card. I think this was the new Capenna version, because I think there's 2 different versions. This might be, actually, it's at Wildsville Drain, possibly. I don't remember, but yeah. That's for Zinnia. Then I have just a Mountain Is this a foil? No, is it? Yeah, it's a foil mountain from in Midnight Hunt. I think I controversially I love the double feature art style actually, and particularly I think on lands it really pops. This is going to go into upgrading. It's going to be an upgrading Cardur because this just really pops thematically. I think it's going to go in Cardur for the time being. And then finally we have Beloved Princess. I just it was a cheap Miku card and I want to pick it up. Just Miku. Hatsune Miku. I don't know what I'm going to put in this yet. Possibly it might go in my mono white deck. But Miku. Yeah, little Hatsune Miku card. And that is it. That is everything that I picked up this time around. Lots of stuff for people who aren't me. And a few things for people that aren't me. Some funny things. And 3 upgrades for Zinnia. It's kind of hard to find a decent sell that has like a bunch of stuff for Zinnia. But I'm tending to go with what is going to be the more awkward stuff to pick up each time. So, like, that time round, I picked that seller because they had a copy of Sulphur Falls, because there's only, like, 3 in the UK, and that was one of them. And one of them, that the guy only had, like, 8 cards in total in their store. The second had that one, and that was foil as well. It was, like, ever so slightly more expensive, but it was foil, and the guy had a lot more in his store, as you can see. So I picked that from them. Yeah. So let me know in the comments below what your favorite card from this lot is. And is it Miku? I won't judge you if it is. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye for now. Stay goosed.